Great. So welcome everyone to our monthly My Speaker Business community call. And it's always exciting for me to have you here and to invite an incredible expert guest and very accomplished speaker, because I'd love you, each one of you that is here with us today, to take practical hints and tips away from our guest experts that you can apply right away. You can ask your own personal questions on how to make your speaker business flourish further. We are here to exchange and support you, and for you to exchange with other professional speakers and see what they do. Also, if you have any kind of high priority projects on your side as a speaker, as an entrepreneur, let us know. And we are here to help and support you, and you will help and support each other. So don't hold back. Don't be shy. You're a speaker. Share with us what's happening on your side. And then also, I know for some of you it's still pretty early morning. Everyone, our friends in the US, I know some of you it's already late afternoon in Asia, and most of us it's lunchtime right now. Just come and have simply a break with us and have fun and get inspired. And as we know, we make these calls very interactive, so ask your questions anytime on the chat. And also mute yourself when you're not speaking, so we have a sparkling recording. And as you know, we record these calls, and when you're speaking up and you have your video on, you will be recorded. But again, I am sure you are a speaker and you love stage time as much as you can get it, right? And I'm really excited for our call today because I have a very special guest with us today again. And what we'll talk about is something that is not only the nuts and bolts of speaking and successful speaking, but it's really one of the topics that make all the difference when you are stepping up on stage. So we will talk today about speech structure secrets. And our guest has met incredible people, so he will share with you what is the structure, the story structure that Barack Obama and other icons used to really create lasting impact whenever they're on stage. Because we as speakers, we are experts. We always feel like we have an incredible knowledge and expertise. And on our speeches, we break that down and we think that we are proud of ourselves to be amazing speakers. But often enough, we are not making the difference we want. We don't always get the people to follow us afterwards, want to work with us afterwards. They feel inspired, but they're not taking action. And all of that comes back to how we structure our stories, how we structure our speeches. So this is what we talk about today. And the guest that we have today is a great friend of mine, Norman Graeter. And he's not only good, he's really Graeter. He's amazing. And let me introduce you to him just for a minute. For more than 20 years, he has worked, met, and exchanged really with many celebrities. A lot of successful people like Michelle Obama, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, and many more. And he's always had just one question for them, and that was, what is your secret to success? And as he met all these people and he saw them on stage, he started to learn from them, he got inspired, and he consolidated all their knowledge combined with his own, as well as combining it with his life experience as an event manager and also as a father. He put together a lot of self-improvement trainings, and he has done quite a bit of research in the areas of motivation, leadership, communication, NLP, body language, and many others. And today he is an incredible speaker. He is out there. He is inspiring hundreds of people. He is also working with a speaker agency, and companies like Daimler, PayPal, Fisman, Bosch, Word, Vorwerk, and many others have trusted his knowledge and expertise on storytelling and hire him as a speaker and a workshop leader again and again. So without further ado, I'd really love to introduce him to you. I'm really honored and blessed to have you today with us, Norman. Let's hear your magic about how to structure stories, how to structure our speeches, so we can rock it on stage like our fabulous Michelle, as we spoke about earlier. Welcome to our call today.
Thank you, Monique. Great to have you all here. And I saw Mel just popping in, one guy I know in person. Good to see you. We shared the stage together, I think, in 2014. And you just touched something I did not want to go into, but I will do it as it's the most important thing. because many speakers out there think they are the hero, because you're the one on stage, you're presenting, you own the stage, and the audience is sitting, you're standing. This is a different level. In the first place, that's not very polite for the mind of the audience, but that's how it is, that they are sitting and you're standing, so you have a different level. And if you then think that you are the hero, you will never, never, ever be able to grab them. There's only one hero in the room, and this is the person sitting in front of you. So if you speak in front of 100 people, you have 100 heroes. You are the guide. You are the guide to bring the hero to success through your stories, through your speech, through whatever you do on stage. Also with other clients, if you're not speaking. If you realize that there's only one hero out there, and this hero is called client, then your whole mind will change and shift. Your whole approach, how you approach people through your homepage, through flyers, through webinars, through speeches. There's only one hero, and it's the client. You are the guide that will give him or her the tools to master their journey. We will go a little bit into that a little later. And I thought about the 3 points that Monique and I spoke about that I will deliver you today. And my first idea until like 40 minutes ago, I wanted to give them to you, just by my word in an audible version. And I realized, no, we are speakers and most of us use PowerPoint, like myself. And I use those slides for a reason. I will touch that a little later as well. So I prepared a little, or not that little, PowerPoint for you. And I did that for a reason, and the reason I will tell you at the end. So let's jump right into that and see if sharing my screen will work like in the rehearsal. Here we go. Now you should see my PowerPoint. Maybe I can have a thumb up from someone. Doug, Monique, perfect.
Yep,
thank
perfect.
you.
Yeah, I can see it. Perfect.
Speech structure secrets. I wrote Experienced and presented by Graeter because there are many people out there that read many books, and they are great directors and great theatrical workers and so on, and they teach speakers how to be better on stage. I usually say, please be and get trained by someone that knows what he or she is doing, and not just in theory. Like a director is good directing a play on stage, but this person never stood on stage, him or herself. So that's why I wrote Experienced by. On the right-hand side, you see what we all want to see. Happy, smiling people. There's no age difference, there's no sex difference, there's no color difference. We are all alike. And how can you grab those people from second one that they're really attracted to what you say? This is what we will speak about today. And my clicker does not work in the way that it should. Here you go. This is your plan. I'm aware that you have been in those calls before. You have done many trainings. You are a trained professional in your field. And your plan is, hey, I will go on stage and it will be a smooth ride. And guess what reality looks like? Totally different, because there are ups, there are downs, there are miracles happening, there are thunderstorms happening on your way. You will experience things that you have thought about and experience things that you have never thought about on stage. And this 1 hour together should give you a little tool case to be better prepared, because the ups and downs will eventually come. We are living in a duality, so man and woman, left and right, in and out. We have 2 arms, it's always 2 sides. So if you should experience a down path, just turn around. I usually use the example of the sun. If you face the sun and somebody would ask, so can you see the shadow of yourself that you will produce if there's sunlight on yourself? You eventually say, no, I see the sun. If you turn around, you will see your shadow on the ground, but then you won't see the sun anymore. But to have a shadow, there needs to be sun. And this is my word of wisdom for today. If you should be on the dark side of life right now, that stuff is happening, the solution is just on the other side. So don't get lost and don't stay down, just turn around, find the strength and power to turn around and look into the sun again and leave the shadow behind you. Yeah, reality will hit you hard as a, how can you say, as a rock. And reality is also based on new things. In this time of our life, we have different audiences. And this is more important than you probably think in the first place. Because if your message is not structured on the audience that is sitting in front of you, it will not work. It's like the hero's journey. If you give a modern day hero a sword, he cannot defeat the modern time enemies. But if you give them an armor, a tank, a bazooka, or whatever, they can use it. Also with your audience, always make sure you know your audience, know what they want to have in life, and the tools you give them through your speech is their armor. And sometimes you have to adapt your keynote a little bit according to your audience. The corporate world, it's a total different game. If you have been a successful coach and a consultant and people come to you, it's totally different than the corporate world where you pop up on a stage and honestly nobody's waiting for you. In some cases, your name is not even announced in the program. It's a surprise, but guess what all people want to have? They want to have coffee break. They want to have pretzels. They want to have lunch. They want to have whatever. And now you pop up as the surprise and you take 1 hour of their life away. And they sit there with a big question mark over their head. And they say, so what's in it for me? Will this be interesting? And if you cannot give an answer to that in the first 5 to 10 to 15 seconds, that's it. They're gone. Distractions. This little baby we have 24 hours, 7 days a week with us. And the thing I had to learn is that some people make notes in their cell phone. And it's not that they are distracted and they are on Twitter and Facebook and Google and whatever. They just make notes on their phone, but you never know. Also a thing, just be prepared that people might be distracted or take notes on the modern devices and they don't Facebook while you speak. Coach to speaker, that's a topic I will touch in a second. And many speakers in the market. You will have a big competition. Everybody that pops up and has a topic seems to become a speaker, at least from the thing I see. And this is good that you are part of this community. You want to be better than all the others. And better does not mean you need to have more knowledge. You need to have a other different secret tool that you will get today. And as Monique said earlier, you already have it. It's just a question if you're aware of it. Your idea, a seminar room is like a big stage. That's what I've heard so often from coaches, from consultants. They say, I have been a great coach for 10 years, and now I will enter the big stage, and it's the same thing, just on a bigger scale. It's a total different surrounding atmosphere. A stage you speak on as a keynote speaker has nothing to do with a seminar room. It's a different atmosphere. Like I said, people are not expecting that you're coming. Unless you have your own programs, then they come to you. But mostly us as corporate speakers, nobody is waiting for us, like I just said. So you need to behave different on a big stage and you need to draw the attention of the audience. Totally different than in a small seminar room where they come to you. And I will give you the structure to do so a little later in this seminar, webinar, call, whatever it is. I will give you 3 keys today that will make you a better speaker, will make you more confident, and will draw your audience towards you, that they become fans instead of just by-sitters or bystanders. And I hope you're prepared. You have a notepad, because my coach told me all billionaires, they always take notes. He has never seen a billionaire that does not take notes, because you can always make something out of something new or something you have already heard. There's always a good idea into everything and anything. Don't freak out. That's just a screen. That's not my PC right now, but I'm aware that most of you have experienced this lovely blue screen in the past. Your PC ran into a problem that it couldn't handle, and now it needs to restart. And usually this happens in the middle of something very important. And I realized that this happens so often that you install something new on your PC, on your Mac, and you're totally you're totally keen in starting into it right now, and you double click it, and the only thing you see is this little blue spinning ball. On the Mac, it's this colorful little world that turns, and the program just does not open. And then you wait for a while and you say, you know, I need another program to jumpstart the first program. So you buy something, you double click on the second one, and now you have 2 wheels spinning. And you continue that over the months and the years. And the whole screen is just a big part covered by small little balls and circles and worlds that are turning. And this is actually what happens in our lives. We buy a new book, we go to a new seminar, we go to great people like us, we go to coaches, and we think they will solve our issue. But it does not work. All the knowledge that you have right now did not bring you to the point where you actually want to be. Most of the people out there tell me that. You know, I have been at 200 seminars, but I'm still not successful as I would like to be. And this is similar to this blue screen. They look at the blue screen, they look at the little ball that's turning, and it just does not work. And my tip is always, it's never about the software. It's never about the coaching, the community, the program, the seminar you have been at. It's always based on the hardware. Is your hardware, your computer, set up for the software? And in most cases, it is not, because you see yourself as the hero. And that's just the wrong approach. You are not the hero, you are the guide. And this is why most programs just do not work. You have all the tools on hand. It's just that you have to throw some stuff off your main board, that the programs you install, that they really work. And this is partly what we want to do today. We throw some old stuff out and we make space for the things that are already there through this great community and all your knowledge you already have. As Monique mentioned already, I had really the pleasure for over 26 years by now to work and meet and speak with great people. And this is just a small part of it. And I don't show you that to brag. I show you this for one and one reason only. You know all those people. You know them. You know LaToya Jackson. You know Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know Phil Collins. You know Steve Wozniak, Chuck Norris, and all the others. And I was always amazed. So what do they do different? Why are they known to the world? And why does nobody know me? And why does nobody know you? They are known, they are out there. So what do they do different? And as Monique told all of us in the beginning, I always ask them one question. What's the secret for success based on your life experience and not just work experience? I want to have the whole package and the whole point of view. And it basically came down to 5 answers. And if we have still time at the end, I will give you those 5 sentences that they give me in their own point of view. But if you burn it and melt it down, it always comes down to 5 things you need to have in life to be successful. As it is about speaking, and most of them are great speakers, I was also interested, why are they attracting so many people? What do they do different? And this is one of the 3 secrets I will give you today. So let's jump right into it, that you learn a lot. Point number 1, the secret, how you turn listeners into raving fans. And I just call it the secret. And the secret is actually so simple that you probably will say, I know that already. And here comes the big challenge. Knowing does not mean that you can adapt it in your life. And I know this from my own life and my own work. I have so much knowledge, like most of you. The question is, how many of those things can I really implement in my daily life? So it's not about the big stones, it's about the small things, and do them over and over and over again. The big secret is your first impression. And you have heard this quote before, you have no second chance for first impression. When you meet someone in a webinar, on stage, in one-to-one, wherever, it's all about the first impression that you give. And 2 things your audience as a speaker will have as a question mark in their mind. Number 1 is empathy. Do you have empathy towards the audience? Does the audience feel, oh, he or she really understands me? It does not mean that you say, oh, I feel with you. The question is rather, do they get the feeling that the 2 of you are connected? And the biggest challenge is, like I mentioned earlier, you are standing on stage, they are sitting in front of the stage. And usually you have a gap in between the first row and the stage. And this does not create empathy. This creates something else. That's point number 2. I will show you in a minute. So empathy, you have to create through your actions and through your words. And I show you how all the big names will do that. This is me at the age of 5 or 6, I would say. That was a little bit younger. And when I was in this age, I had a dream. I had a vision. It was rather a dream, not a vision, but it was going towards a vision. I wanted to play soccer. So I wanted to play soccer not in our national team or in one of the big teams like Bayern Munich or whatever their names are. I just wanted to play local at the SSV Geisbach in our small little tiny town. And with this desire and this wish and this vision, I went up to my mother. And my mother, back then, she was in her early 20s. She had brown curly hairs up to her shoulders. And she was not really that amazed about my wish and my desire. And I approached her. I said, "Mom, can I play soccer with my friends in the club?" And she was very calm and said, "Norman, that's a great idea. But, you know, you have never been that good in sports. And I just have the feeling that you rather be out of the game on this extra bench where all the extra players are sitting rather than in the game because you're not the best sports person. So I would say you find a new goal and a new vision." No soccer? No soccer. Can I have a pet? No pet. So I learned really quick that I'm not a sports person, I'm not a team player, and I'm not reliable, because if you want to have a pet, you need to be reliable, that you come back home with the pet. And my mom probably did not see that in me, so I wanted to escape my childhood, and I wanted to move into the real world. That's called school. We call it Schultüte, so it's this tube kind of bag thing, and it's filled with pens and with papers and with color sticks and with sweets, and that you usually have for the first day in school here in Germany. And I was so proud, and I was happy, and I was a good student, and everything worked well until a Tuesday morning around 10:30-ish. It was a lovely sunny day, and you know, if you're sitting next to the window, I was sitting in the first row on a big wooden table, and the sun shined through the glass on my left side, and it basically filled out my whole desk. It was sunny, and it was warm, and it felt cozy and just nice. And then something moved between this ray of sunshine and my desk, and it was my teacher. And my teacher looked down. He was standing, I was sitting, almost like on stage. And he looked down and he said something that I did not really understand. He said, "Norman, I think you're a little bit retarded." Now, you as Americans and English-speaking people, you know the word retarded, like you're a little bit behind. In German, he said it, he called retarded. And retarded I have never heard. So I went to Google, and Google was not invented back then. So I went to a bookstore, grabbed a little, no, it was not a little book. It was basically a big book, really big book. It's called Duden. And I went through A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And the explanation of retarded was, like I already said, a little bit behind. And as school for me was the authority, I believed my teacher that I'm a little bit behind mentally. And guess what happened? I became a very successful student in failing whatever subjects we had. So I turned from good, okay, to really bad, because I thought I am bad. That's what the teacher told me. And of course, with that in mind, my whole school time was pretty bad. and I wanted to get a job afterwards. I wanted to get out of school and escape school as soon as possible. But who would hire a successful bad student? I don't know any company. So something helped me to move, to transition from school into a company, and that's what we called vitamin B. And vitamin B stands for Beziehungen, vitamin relationships. You need to know people, and they know other people, and they know the HR boss, and so on. So I got my training in that company. But for all those years, for those 3 years and the years that followed, I had a feeling, and if I would have to describe the feeling, I would say it's a feeling of kind of they allowed you to be here, but you're not really accepted. You know what I mean? It's just a feeling. I don't say this is or was the reality. It was just a feeling that I was just there because somebody else stood behind me and said, give him the job. And I don't belong there. And with that feeling, I moved through all my life. And the things that happen with people that move through their life and they have low self-esteem and no self-confidence and for sure no self-love, they usually point their finger at everybody else, at the teachers, at my parents, at my co-workers, at the boss, everybody. It was everybody's fault but mine that I was in a position I did not want it to be in. The thing I never realized, if you point with your index finger towards one person, 3 fingers always point back at yourself. My excuse was, I did not see those 3 fingers, they were down, but they were there. So I had to change something. And after turning my life from one misery into the next one and one hurricane into the next one, I thought I could go to a seminar and the seminar will solve my issue. Another software to install on my hard drive. And it was a seminar by Dr. Wayne Dyer, if you know him. And he had a guest speaker, and the guest speaker's name was Mary. And Mary had a near-death experience. And I've never heard about a near-death experience, like in Geisbach, where I was raised and born. If you're dead, you're dead. There's no near-death. You come and go and back and forth. So I was very amazed by her story, and I bought her book at a merchandise booth, and I approached her in the next break to get my book signed. And this little elderly 35, 60-year-old lady was standing with her back towards me. I approached her and I whispered over her right shoulder, I said, "Excuse me, Mary, would you be so nice and sign this book for me?" And this tiny lady turned around and she looked at me. She only looked at me. She looked at me with a look that, gentlemen, just imagine you're the biggest Pamela Anderson fan in this world, and all the ladies, you're the biggest George Clooney fan in the world. And you're down there at your local grocery store and somebody says, "Excuse me," behind you, and you turn around and you look into the eyes of Pamela Anderson or George Clooney, and you're a fan since 20 years. And this is how she looked at me. So I was a little bit in shock. I could not really say or do anything. It was just like, ooh. So I took the book, I smiled, I said thank you, and I went back to my seat. And I sat down. And for the rest of the day, I could only think about one thing. Did this lady, Mary, see something in me that I don't know yet? Maybe I'm the next superstar and I just don't know it, but she saw it. I mean, near-death experience. So I had 2 possibilities. Possibility number 1, I go back and ask her. Number 2, I will fly back home and I will never find out. For the sake of the story, of course, it was number 1. I went back and thought about possibility number 3. Because for 10 minutes, I just watched her, how she looked at other people, which brought me back to number 1 and number 2, because all the other people, she did not give that intense look. She just looked at them in a normal way. So it was back to 1 and 2, and I got all my act together and I approached her again. I said, "Excuse me, Mary, can I ask you something? Yes, sure. You gave me a very intense look in the other break when I asked you for the autograph. Is it possible that you saw something in me that I don't know yet? And she smiled and said, yes, I saw something. And if you believe me or not, in this moment I thought I will be the next George Clooney from Geisbach. I have no idea where this thought came from. It was just in my mind. I have no idea. And she said something very strange that I could not really grab in this moment. That's why I prepare you for that. She smiled at me and she said, you know what I saw? Huh? Tell me. I saw God in you. Excuse me? Who? The boss? No, I'm not talking about this lovely elderly gentleman with the beard, with the long coat and this white stick, but I'm speaking about the perfect creation. The perfect creation that can achieve everything he wants to achieve if and only if he starts believing in himself. Oh. Alrighty. This really hit me in the face. And with that, I went back to my seat, ended the seminar, and I flew back home. And on the way back home, I thought about what she said. I thought if an elderly 65-year near-death experienced woman I have never met before believes in me, and she has never met me before, she has never seen me before, could I start to believe in myself? Only a little bit. And that's what I did. I changed my whole life, 180 degrees. I got a divorce. I moved from the north to the south. I got rid of all my friends. I got rid of my job after 24 years in the same job. I really turned everything upside down to start all over again with a new way of thinking. And all the things I have learned from this journey, I will give you now within the next 90 minutes as a shortcut. So to cut a long story short, and if you wondered why is he telling us this story, this is the most important part of your speech, your own story. Because with that, and only with that, you create empathy. Whatever I said is based on the audience. I had bad grades in school. I did not get a pet. Somebody said something. I was miserable. And then I met a guide. And the guide helped me through one sentence to transform. If I would have told you the story and I would have said, when I was 6 years of age, my parents went to the Himalaya with me and we climbed the Himalaya. 100% of the audience will say, so what? If I say I had bad grades in school, I'm sure I will attract between 10 and 25% of the audience that will say in this very moment in their mind, oh, me too. I did not get a pet. Another 8%. Oh, me too. I got my job because I had relationships. Another 15%. Oh, me too. You know what's happening? You create empathy. My whole story is based on creating as much empathy with the audience that I can get, because if I create empathy and they think, hey, he is like me, but now he's standing on stage, so there's a possibility for me too. This is not what happens consciously, but subconsciously. And then the most important part of this own story is the hero. I was working with a client last week and I'm writing his keynote, his signature speech now. And he said, you know, this will be tough. I've never had any hero. I always came up with every solution I needed in life. And I said, yeah, let's meet in person and we'll find the hero. You will never, ever tell your audience that you woke up in the morning and said, and then I realized how life needs to happen, that it works. Then you will lose all of them in an instant because they never woke up in the morning and said, now I get it. You need an external hero. Mary is my external hero. She gave me an advice and the advice struck me. and what happens subconsciously with your audience, that you are the hero for them. But as I said earlier, you don't present yourself as I'm the hero and you're nothing. You will present yourself as the guide. And I will tell you in a minute how you become the guide. But for them, you need to be the hero. You're standing on stage. You have mastered the challenge that they still have ahead of them. And that's what your story does. You will say, I also did not wake up in the morning and I realized how the world should turn to make me happy, healthy, successful, rich, or whatever. You had an outside guide that helped me or helped you. And I'm the guide that will help you to master your journey. So empathy you create through your own stories. My teacher told me, tell the stories that you would not tell anybody in the world. These are the best stories. And that's what I did. I never told any about the God story because people will think I'm totally wicked. Number two, if you approach people and you have a first impression, it's about authority. And authority is that you have references, that you can prove that you are keen and able in being a guide. Now, I'm very much aware that some of you are starting right now in the speaker business and they say, you know, I cannot say I have spoken at PayPal and Bosch and Fissmann and whatever big brands Norman spoke. It's nice, but what can I do? I just started. I will show you my own personal way how I started in 2014 because I had the same question. I thought I was a brilliant event manager. I was brilliant in standing in the second row supporting artists and DJs and speakers being better on stage because I have no talent, so it's all about them. I will support them. And now my roles swapped. And I thought, no big company actually waited for Norman Graeter. If I say, you know, I have a great life story and I tell you what I've learned in the million books I read and the thousands of seminars, they will all say, you know, why should we pay you a certain amount of money? And about certain amount of money, I mean, what I have earned within a month as I was employed, I will get now in 1 hour. This is what I had to rely on. I said, if I just tell them about my stories and what I've experienced, nobody will give me that money. So I needed authority. And the thing I did, I swapped my mountain upside down. I said, if I cannot tell the people from the mountain roof how it is, as experienced speakers, oh, I have 5 companies I have worked with, I have coached and trained and spoke at blah, 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 blah. If I just don't have that, I just flip it upside down. And I said, I'm on the bottom of my mountain and I will take you up while I walk this mountain for you and for myself. So the thing I did, I created something called the 2020 experience for myself. And excuse me for the German picture right now. I will translate it for the English-speaking ones. Norman Graeter, that's me. Zielerreichung beginnt im Kopf. Goal achievement begins in your head. This was the title of my first speech at the Porsche Arena in Stuttgart, live with a classical orchestra on March 24th, 2020. This picture I put everywhere. It's here in my office, it's in the bathroom, it's in the bedroom, it's the background of my laptop. It is everywhere because it reminds me every day. This is the reason why I get up. Because I told myself, if I cannot tell them from the top of the mountain, if I'm on the bottom, I turn it upside down and I will book a venue. In this case, the Porsche Arena in Stuttgart, 6 years in advance. I don't plan it. I will book it. I will call the venue and say, send me the contract. I will have this venue on my 43rd birthday on March 24th, 2020. This was the only date I came up with that was more or less smart for me, 6 years in advance. I said, and if only my parents are coming in the 6,000 seat venue, I will have a big birthday party because I will do the show as I have it in my mind. And this is very expensive, what I have in my mind. So the thing I did, I just did not spoke about the things that people could do to be successful, but I was not. I said, I will prove to you that the things I will tell you really work because I will set myself a vision, a goal, a big mission. that is so huge that I can hardly grab it because I have never filled a 6,000 seat venue. And this is what I show in each and every presentation. I show the people that I'm not here to talk the talk, but to walk the walk. And this is something you want to create too. If you're just starting and you have no references and nothing, find something where you can prove to the world that you are 100% sure that your ideas will work. I tell them I use my own strategy, my anchor method to get there. I'm writing a diary since 5 years. I write down every day what works, what does not work. Are subliminals good? Is hypnosis good? Are meditations good? Is a vision board good? I will try everything for a certain time and write down. So basically it's a big experiment I'm doing. And the most important thing on this slide has been missing for quite a while. And it's this: sold out. A friend from America gave me this idea. She made a name tag for me, and on this it was written sold out. And I realized, yes, if I don't see the final version of the picture, why should I get there? And this is what you want to give your audience. You want to give them a big, big, big promise. What happens at the end when you listen to my speech for 60, 90, 120 minutes, a whole day? What will happen then with your life? So this is what I give to myself. What else did I do? I thought if we start 6 years in advance with having a venue, we can start selling tickets 6 years in advance, because I meet many people within those 6 years. And if I start in the regular way, like 1 year in advance, I will lose 5 years of prospects. So we started selling tickets 2020 days before the show started. This also never has happened. The ticket center said, you know, we cannot install that. It's too far away in the future. I said, I'm so happy that I call in time that you can fix it, and they fixed it. And another reason I show you this is if you do things different from anybody else, people will pick up on it. A guy named Tobias Köhler took a picture of the commercials that is running every day since 5 years inside and outside the venue. And he wrote on December 19th, 2014, so we just started the whole project. He said, I have no idea who this gentleman is, but it seems that you have to buy your tickets in time. I pressed I like. So the thing is, if you do things different than all the competitors, people will pick up on it. So don't just follow any rule from anybody. Always bring in your own point of view, your own twist. And that's what I did. Many speakers have sold out venues in the past, but nobody said, I will do it within 6 years, and I booked the venue. Nobody started selling tickets that long in advance. Nobody has ever, not even Anthony Robbins or the German big guys, never ever used a classical orchestra within his or her speech. There are so many small little details that are just different, that give a little but different spin to the whole thing, and that's what you want to do. And you give the spin not by the things that outside people tell you, but the things that you have within you. The things where you're passionate about, where you say, you know, this is something I really love to do. This is what you do. Key number one of the first point of the secret: show empathy and show authority. Empathy through your own story, and authority by either your references you already have or by your own story you create that will show them that you are an authority. I got a promoter for the concert, like for the show. I got a speaker agency through this thing, 2020. The general manager of this company, or the owner, approached me and he said, you know, the title should be a little bit different, but for that we need to brainstorm for a whole day. And I said, so what's necessary to brainstorm? Yeah, an exclusive contract with us. And then I was very brave and said, would you give me an exclusive contract? Please. The please I did not say, but within said. And he said, yes, we can do that. He never ever saw me on stage. He never had an idea what I speak about. The only thing that pulled me towards him was the big vision to sell out a 6,000 seat venue, and not just speaking about it, but going all in and booking the venue, selling tickets, and really going all in. So this is how you attract people. This is the only reason why I'm with this speaker agency. Like I said, you never saw me on stage, which is a no-go. You always want to see what you buy. If you bring authority, nobody cares. Number 2, the key to successful content transfer by using a different tool. And the different tool you have all heard about. Some of you love it, some of you hate it. Some of you say, I don't know it, I don't know how it's done. It's called storytelling. And storytelling helps your brain to avoid burning calories. The brain burns the most calories within your body when you think. The thing that happens when you're on stage is your knowledge is on a level 10. 10 of 10. I'm quite sure that you are an expert in the level you are in. You're 10 of 10. And now you say, if I go on stage, I will break my level 10 a little bit down. I break it down to a 6 to 7 knowledge. But the secret, my friends, why the keynotes are not that successful yet, is that the people buy between 1 and 2. So all the great and big knowledge you have to break down from 10 to kindergarten level, basically. And now you say, I cannot do that. This feels horrible. Yes, but a confused mind will always say no. So stop confusing your audience and make it so simple that everybody can follow. If you speak in front of 100 professors, you don't need the 1 to 2 level. But most audiences, they are mixed. You have very basic people in the audience, and you have very studied people. So if you break it down, and if you break it down through stories, you will attract everyone in the audience also, and also the studied ones love stories. One example I love to use in my keynotes is the golden buzzer. And if you're not aware of the golden buzzer, it comes from casting shows like America's Got Talent, Germany's Got Talent. There are many formats. And the idea of the golden buzzer is that one of the 4 judges can press this golden buzzer, and it brings the contestant into the semifinals. So they will jump 2 or 3 steps and they will go straight into the live shows. If one of the 4 judges says, I really like this performance. So the golden buzzer is the big hit for each and every person that comes on stage. And I want to show you a small clip from one of those shows. And I want you to listen, or the German ones can read it. I have a German subtitle, as it's from America's Got Talent. I want you to listen very closely what Simon, the judge, says to this young man. And maybe you have to adjust your volume of the speaker. So just making you aware, it might be louder or a little bit lower from the volume in just 1 second.
You were like a little mouse who turned into a lion. You are one of my favorite contestants I've seen this year. Not only in terms of your voice, I just like you. There was something about you, and it is the best possible feeling when we meet people like you.
Thank you so much.
And if you can make one wish right now, this second, to make something come true for yourself, what would you wish?
Right this second?
Yes.
Probably the golden buzzer.
Well, your wish just came true.
Imagine you're ordering a pizza, and the pizza guy shows up at your hotel room or at your house 30 minutes later, and he knocks or rings the bell, and you look through the door, and you open the door, and he stands in front of your door and says, did you order this pepperoni cheese pizza? And you say, yes, I did. And you look at him and he's standing there with your pizza on his hand. No box, just the pizza. He has the real pizza on his hand. And the cheese is oozing down his arm and drops on your floor. And probably the first question you would have to this young man would be, where is the box? Where is the box? I was expecting the pizza to come in kind of a vessel, to come in a box. Now get me right, a pizza box is not that valuable. It probably costs, I don't know, 5 cents or 10 cents. So it has no big value. But the value increases massively by the thing that is put into it. So the box does not give more value to the pizza, but the pizza gives more value to the box. The thing you carry around, your nice Gucci glasses, your great suit, your dress, your shoes, your smile in a perfect white, your hair, your Botox pumped up face, is just a 5-cent box. And we do so much to work on this 5-cent box. But it has no value if there's nothing that you put into it. So your power, your strength as a speaker does not come from any training from an outside person. It's nice, but it works on the 5-cent box, how to present, how to stand, how to breathe, how to speak in a proper way, how to use your whole voice range. It just pimps up a 5-cent box. The strength that you have comes from within, and that's the secret Monique spoke about earlier. And this is why I showed you this clip earlier, what Simon said. There was something very special about you, and we like people like you. And he could not really put it into words what it is. It is the inner strength, the power that you say, I know who I am, and I have the authority to go on stage and be the best guide I can be in this world to bring those heroes in front of me from point A to point B. And that's your job. And this power, again, comes from within and not from the outside. So please, please, please work on your inside rather than on the outside. Believe in the words you say. Believe in the strength that you have. Don't be the shy one hiding. You have a strong message. And honestly, I'm so proud to be with you in this call today, to meet each and everyone, even through this medium Zoom, because you are so important for this world. You are only here because you are important. You have a clear message to make this world a better place. You have a gift to go in a seminar room on stage to make this world a better place. You would not be on this planet if you would not be important. Just be aware of that. You are important, and if things are not going the way you want them to be, this is the lessons you need to learn to be even a better guide, because you have to experience what you want to take people through. And if you change your mind and you're thinking to the way that you say, I'm a gift to the world, and the whole universe, God, Mohammed, Buddha, Allah, whatever you name it, comes together, that I am successful. Whatever trick they pull on me, they only do that I will be successful in the best version of myself. Whatever happened and what happens and what will happen to me is only there to make me successful. If you get this approach, then you hit it on the nail. Then you are the best speaker you can be in the whole damn world. Key number 2.
Norman, sorry to step in. We have another about 5 minutes.
Yes.
Maybe 10, and maybe there's also a little bit of time for questions, just in terms of timing a little bit.
Thank you for letting me know. The third point gets way shorter.
Okay, good.
Thank you. It's all about emotions. And now you say, yes, I heard that before. Then do it. Bring your emotions on stage. And you can see there are 2 words. It's emotion, the feeling, and motion, moving something. Emotion. You in a movement, this will make the difference. It's not your knowledge. It's not all your expertise that you have. It's the emotions that will bound the people with you, or it will not happen if you don't share any emotions. Number 3, the story structure that icons like Barack Obama, Tony Robbins, and Les Brown use to mesmerize people into their story. You be hungry. Let's have a look at it. There's always an opening. And now let's reveal the reason why I did this PowerPoint. Basically, I did not want to just show it you in a theoretical way. I wanted to show it to you in a short version how I would do it. My big speech is longer, is of course more into details and more pulling and pushing the audience. For the sake of time, this was a shortcut based on the topic we speak about today. So there was an opening. Usually I start with questions, with a movie, with a quote that opens up the theme. In this case, Monique was the opening, but in my regular talks, I make everything. I have a little introduction movie, and guess what? It's not about me. Please never ever go on stage and show a 2-minute movie about yourself, about how great you are. Excuse me? You want to empathize with the audience and not build your throne even bigger and higher? Never ever. And if you want to show it to them, show it later, and I will point it out. Point number 2, you go into a pain that they have. I drew a pain. Oh, we have different audiences. We have distractions, all this stuff. This will bring you back to real life. If you do not tip into a pain, they are not open for a solution. If you just go out and you say, I will show and share my knowledge, they will say, okay, but if I ever need it, I don't know. You're always interested in an aspirin when you have a headache, or Tylenol. So you tap into the pain that your audience has. And that's why I said earlier, need to know your audience. You cannot use the same pain point all the time unless you have a topic that's so general that it's the same pain for each and every audience. You need to adapt your pain according to your audience. And then you paint a big vision. The 3 keys to become a better speaker, to become more self-centered, all those things. Create a big vision, what they will gain if they avoid the pain. Then you make a big promise. At the end of my presentation, you will receive 1, 2, 3 things. Don't give them at the end of my presentation. I will give you 16 keys to blah, 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 blah. The brain will turn mad. So 16 keys, oh my God, this is stress. No, you want to keep it simple. Maximum 5 points. Better 3. The power of 3. Nike, just do it. Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. I'm loving it. McDonald's. It's always the power of 3. So stick to the 3. Your EPS, which is called your expert positioning story. That's why I told you my story in a very long version for some of you. This is the most important part because this is where you connect with your audience. If you don't connect, everything else that you do is not worth 1 cent. They will not pay attention. They will be distracted. Your EPS. And that's the point, at point number 4, where you introduce yourself. You don't go on stage and say, hello, I'm Norman Graeter. I'm a European champion and public speaker, trainer of the year 2017, certified, blah, 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 blah. Everybody will have one question in their mind. What's in it for me? I don't care who you are, what you did, and what you do. Tell me what it brings myself. And this is what you will point out in the first 3 points, and all big speakers do that. They will exactly nail it down to the point to tell you what you will get, what you will avoid, and how your life will look like at the end of this journey. And then it's okay to prove to them why you have the right to stand in front of them. Number 5, what to expect. It's kind of an overview like in a book, the index, but you don't want to do a classical index. You want to either do an acronym. Like I have the anchor method. A stands for action, N, new way, key factor, E, emotion, R, results. So an acronym where each and every letter stands for a new word. You want to have a structure like the Maslow pyramid that they say at the end, what was this guy's name? I don't know, but it was the pyramid guy. So self-improvement pyramid, Maslow, now I remember. A structure gives people something they can relate to. On alliteration, alliteration is something with similar letters. Your AAA method, your MMM method, your VVVV method. So it's the same letter, and your A stands for 3 different things. Your main topics based on the acronym, your structure, or the alliteration. Of course, then you start speaking about the main topics. How I did, I structured it in 3 things, and I broke it down, and on each and every slide, you could exactly see, are we in point number 1, 2, or 3. At the end, you will wrap it up. This is the part you have not seen yet because we're not done yet. And the most important part is number 8, and most speakers forget number 8, the CTA, the call to action. Because if you give everything, you follow the whole structure and you forget to give them a clear call, what they should do right now, they won't do it. People like it very easy, so tell them exactly what they need to do in a 3-step process. Take the notes that you took the last hours, review them, and then write me an email that we can talk about the next steps. Whatever your follow-up or your call to action is, but give them 3 easy steps. Don't say you can find further information online. Where, when, how? Will it be complicated? It's too much confusion in the brain, and the brain says no. Make it a no-brainer. Go to norman-graeter.com. Go to my blog and read what all of the celebrities said. It's a clear process where I can say, oh, I can follow that 3-point formula. And the thing you want to do in general is paint an aspirational vision. And people are drawn, and all movies are drawn by 3 things. So one of those 3 things should be part of your big vision you draw. Point number 1, win some sort of power or position. Many people want to win some sort of power and position. They want to reach the next level or whatsoever. Number 2, be unified with someone or something to become whole. Some people want to be that. Batman is looking for Robin. A woman is looking for another woman or man or both or whatever. You know, you're looking for your tag team partner to fulfill a mission. And number 3, which falls in my category, experience some kind of self-realization that makes you whole. I want to have this aha moment that makes me a better person. And the big vision you're drawing with the topics you have needs to pinpoint down to one of those 3 things. Otherwise, people are not interested at all. Not at all. All great products will people help to be one of those 3. Win power, be unified with somebody else, or experience some kind of racing in your own realization and life. Now here's the wrap up. We spoke about 3 things. First, what's called the secret. It's about empathy and authority. And this is where people take most pictures. And I point this out to make it easy. I say, all the people with the cell phones now, in a couple seconds, it's a good time to take a picture. Wrap up. Storytelling. Second most important thing. It's a story. It's your story. It's how you are real. It's based on your experience, why you can create empathy, why you understand them, and why you are the authority. Brings us to point number 3, the structure. The structure is their guideline and actually your guideline. To give them, in German we would say a red thread, a thread that goes through the whole keynote. And very often other speakers ask me and said, did you see my red thread? I said, yes, I realized all 4 of them. They will go in certain directions with their keynote, and this confuses the audience totally. And if you have one last question, and this is, does this really work? The only reason and the only possibility to find it out, you will only know it when you do it. I want you to step up, to take the structure, to take the knowledge, to take everything, and go to that stone and you pull out the sword. This brings us to key number 3, the most important thing when you're staying on stage and you want to be on stage for the next 500 years. It's very simple, yet so hard. Just be yourself. Be yourself. That's all what it takes. All the knowledge is great and it's needed. Honestly, you always follow the leader where you say, this person is like myself. You don't follow the leader for the leader, but for yourself, because you say we share the same values, we share the same history, we want to achieve the same goal. And this is what your keynote will do. It will wrap up this whole package into a lovely bundle that people can take home and say, now I will become more powerful, I will find my teammate, my tag team partner to become whole, or I realize something that I take the package in my own hand, I have the guide now, and then move towards Valhalla or wherever they want to move. And these are the 3 most important secrets that I've experienced in all my work, in all my talks. And I really wish that the time was well spent, the last hour that you said, hey, I got some knowledge out of that for yourself, for your work. Don't take everything for granted. Take it as a big buffet and just take what suits you. And where you say, I will do this and will do that, don't follow 100% of my structure. It needs to fit you, your personality, that you are yourself. And if you should have any struggles, if you say, I have heard it, but still I'm not creative, I have no idea, then send me an email. I'm very good in writing signature stories for other speakers if I can be of any help. If you want to read all the celebrity stories, and if you speak German, then you can go to norman-graeter.com/blog. I will post one every day with the quote of the celebrity and my ideas below that you can learn from each and every one. I say thank you. I will shut down the presentation and turn back to Monique and the chat room.
Great, thank you so much. I can listen to you forever, Norman,
Thank
of course,
you.
but looking at time, I know normally these calls are an hour. We're going a little bit over, but I think it's absolutely worth it. So let me just open the space, because you and I are in touch. I can ask you any question anytime, Norman, but maybe there's questions from anyone that's been here with us today. And I see Herlinde raising her hand. Herlinde, do you want to just jump in and ask whatever you'd like to know?
So first of all, I'm really delighted because Norman came at the right time into my life. So thank you. I am at that point to figure out what my story is after a long time of corporate life. And I wonder how you figured out your personal story.
There are different ways. You can either go into let's come from another approach. You need a buddy, a sparring partner, somebody else. The person has not to be a professional, but the person has to ask you about your life. Because if you look back at your own life, you say, you know, I have not experienced anything really major bad or great. I had a normal life. I'm no Nick Vujicic with no arms and no legs. This would be a story. But my life, Herlinde's life is just, it's not the big things, it's the small things where people can relate to. So look at the things where you would say, they really bothered me. So what your tag team partner will do is just interview you about your life. And this person will say, Herlinde, tell me about your life. Your childhood, your youth, your school, your training, failed relationships, good relationships. Just, you can see that there's the rote Faden, this red thread going through your life, but you won't see that, somebody else will.
And if it is something sad, for example, I just come up with an idea like what leaders can learn from life-threatening situations, including their own death.
Yes.
Is that something too sad?
It is. You need to be aware that the sad story you tell is related to the topic you speak about. If it does, then use it. If you say this brings me too far off from my main topic, then it makes no sense for the people.
I see.
You need this one sad story that hooks the people towards you. And then you need, of course, this outside hero that gives you advice and says, you know, Herlinde, you have suffered way too long. Read this book, or listen to this quote, or come, I will give you a hug. Whatever it is. And that's very important.
And also, Herlinde, you know, and that's for all of you. You just go, you know, as Norman said, just go through your life and say, these things happened. That was kind of a turning point, or that was an aha, that triggered an insight, or that made me take a different direction, or that is why I care about what I care about today. Dig into that, and then really also 2 more quick hints for all of you as your speakers, and I'm sure Norman, you're probably doing it also. Start creating something like a story library. Okay, observe every day what stories do you experience, right? I mean, as they say, life is a joke. Life is always giving us experiences where we think like, oh my God, that's something amazing that I learned from. So that's, start whenever you experience something that you think would be some kind of story that others would benefit from, start putting it into your library. Start building yourself a story library. You will use these stories going forward on stage and in many other ways. And then also just one more hint, as you have a story library, or as you start collecting the stories from your life to build a one big one as an entry, ask yourself, which of these stories is in line with the difference you want to make? You see? Because Linda, you're running an amazing business, and ask yourself, so which of these stories that triggered something in my life will make a point to inspire, uplift, empower others and connect with others in a way that eventually, you make a difference for them, and eventually also they work with you because they connect with you while you're sharing these stories. So at the beginning, don't judge. Collect any kind of story that comes to mind, and maybe just take an hour just to start with, and think about what are the stories in my life that triggered a change, that inspired me. And also, it doesn't only need to be your own stories. It can be actually stories from people you hear or stories you read, as long as, of course, you mention the source of where you took these stories from, right? But as Norman is saying, the most powerful stories come out of ourselves. And the good news is, even if you have no story at all, start collecting the stories from today on, and you're going to have incredible stories to share very soon.
Yes.
Was so inspiring, Norman. So thank you so much for any single thought. It was important for me. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you, Linde. And one thing that just popped up in my mind while Monique spoke, always start with the end in mind. If you're starting creating your keynote, never ever start in the beginning. Because the red thread, the rote Faden,
Right.
you can only draw if you know what the end will be. Like your call to action is the first thing you know. The thing, what is my message I will hand out to the audience at the end? This is how you start. And then you jump from the last point to the first point and say, what great introduction could I give? Then you move to your EPS and say, how can I build trust through my own experiences and stories to bring the people at one point to this call to action? So all the stories you come up with need to pay into this call to action. Otherwise, it makes no sense. I'm sure we all know movies where the plot is going everywhere and over. You watch a movie and you say, I don't really know what the movie should tell me. It's going in different directions. You want to scratch everything off from your own stories that is not there to follow this plot to your call to action. So it's all the things that are related to the call to action. And so your EPS can also change depending on the audience. Like if I make a speaker training, usually my story is a different one than I have on stage with the corporations, the mainframe. Because the story I told you, it's built up. It's no sports, no animal, school, education. It was always another plate on top of this. He has no self-esteem. And instead of saying, I'm somebody, it was like more and more and more on top. And this little guy became more and more pressured. And that's what you want to do too.
Cool.
Needs to build up.
Great. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Maria had one question, the public speaking contest. Yes, it was Toastmasters. The greatest thing you can do, I think Mel will agree, Toastmasters is the greatest place to have weekly training and get feedback and stuff like that. To just practice if you're starting, Toastmasters is a great place.
Yeah, I'm a big fan too. Yeah, of course. So, okay, good. So let's round it off. Thank you all for being here with us. I hope it was inspiring. I'm sure, and some of you said, can you go back to a certain slide? Just watch it again. We have the recording. So I think it's time for us to round it off. Norman, what is one last message you want to share as a final inspiration, just to round it off in a powerful way?
You are your message. Whatever message you have and you think you have, you need to be the living proof of this message. To be yourself, to walk the walk and not just talk the talk. People need to see that you follow it through. You cannot speak about having a healthy diet and they see you in the lunch break eating 5 burgers. People will always follow what you do and not what they see, not what they hear. So in Germany, we could play with the words in a very nice way to say you are a Vorbild, like the picture you give is the thing they reflect on, and you're not the Vorwort. So people will never follow your word, they will follow your actions. So make sure that the things you say on stage represent your own life, and just be your own hero for yourself in your life. Be the living proof that whatever you speak about works with you. And yes, not 100% of the times, we are all human and it's totally okay. So just be yourself, bring that on stage, and you will be successful. That's my big promise.
Beautiful. And we have quite a few Toastmasters here, I think. So that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Maria from Madrid as well. Great. Okay, so thank you so much. You are your message. That's a beautiful, powerful message. And it's so true. It's all about authenticity. And as we spoke about it earlier, before we even started the call, Michelle Obama is a great example. And so thank you all for being here. Thank you big time for, again, as Norman said, each of us have not only the opportunity, we have the responsibility to share our message with the world, because there's a lot of people out there that wait for our inspiration, motivation, and we touch lives every time we step up on the stage, online, offline. No matter if you speak to one person, if you speak to 5 people or 5,000 people, okay, just always have the individual in mind that you want to touch. So you are your message. Thank you, Norman, for being with us today.
My big pleasure.
It's been amazing to have you, and I look forward to another amazing call next month with another amazing guest. But we are here right now. Also in between, use the opportunity to share your questions, anything you want to know in our community. And if there's any more questions for Norman in the next couple of days, post it there. Norman, I know that you're happy to answer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, everyone also that wants to step up with your speaking, I just want to mention it here right now. We're going to run another one of our 4 weeks professional speaker launch programs. So if you're really serious about stepping up with your speaking, get in touch on that. And if you have any kind of project, high priority project, or anything you would like to let people know about, I know our community is a no promotion community, but if you feel you have something that can uplift someone else, don't promote it there, but say what you do and ask your questions and ask for help and support. Okay? Great. You all have a fantastic time, and we'll see each other on our next community call next month in July. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Norman, for your amazing time. And all the best to all of you. And I look forward to being in touch in our community over the next month. Okay? All the best. We'll be in touch soon.
Bye-bye.